morning and welcome to our session, our Know Your Money session today on the features of the soon to be introduced Polymer $5, $10, and $20 bills. Today's session will be presented by Ms. Sharon Villafana, our Manager of Banking Operations, and I will hand over to Ms. Villafana at this point.
Thank you, Selena, and welcome everyone. Good morning. Today we will just take a nice look at our new Polymer suite of notes, and $20 notes. Okay, so following the issuance of the $100 Polymer note last December, the Senate three more Polymer notes from November 2nd. Now we the commercial banks, so they will take some time, of course, to send them through their networks to make them available for you, the public. Okay, provide improved durability based on the polymer substrate, because we know that polymer lasts roughly 2.5 times longer in circulation than our old cotton notes. They present an opportunity for us to improve the security features in our notes so that we can be providing you with more protection against forgery. And we also have the ability to provide more defined tactile features for improved access for our visually impaired community. Now, today we'll be going through the features on the notes using a tried and tested methodology that we have utilized on our Know Your Money sessions every year. We're going to feel the notes, we're going to look at the notes, we're going to tilt the notes, and we're going to check those features using some simple tools, magnifying glass or ultraviolet light. So let's first look at our $5 notes. You'd see on a first glance that the notes are pretty consistent in terms of the design elements, some of the design elements with our old cotton notes. Now, don't be alarmed by the difference in size in the presentation. This was purely done for emphasis so you can focus better on the features of the polymer notes. The actual notes are the same size. So if you look at the notes, back a little bit. If you look at the notes, you see the features that we've held constant, our mock bird, the coat of arms. On the flip side of the note, you'll see the two towers and the traditional market scene. It's just a little enhanced, but it's the familiar market scene. Now you'd see at the top of the note, consistent with the $100 note that we issued last year, is the national flag. Now let's start using that methodology that I spoke about to look at the features of the notes. Now, the first thing you do when the note is in your hand, you feel the note. You'll feel that it's a lot smoother than the paper because, of course, cotton is has a texture to it. It's like almost like a fabric. So you can feel the grains of the cotton, but the polymer is really smooth. So the feel of the note is smooth. The next thing you feel when you touch the note are some raised print areas to the top and the bottom of the note. You feel the ink raised in the pattern of the coat of arms and that large numeral on the side of the note. Now that is the intaglio ink feature on the printed note. So you just feel it like a raised print on the surface of the note. If you turn the note over, the back of the note is completely smooth. It's smooth to the touch. There are no design elements to the back of the note. And what you feel to the lower corner is that tactile feature that I spoke about earlier that provided improved access for the visually impaired. Now, let's look at the note. To the top of the note, you'll see a small window with the numeral 5 in it. It's a green solid 5. Similar to the $100 note, we have a nice little window in the new Polymer $5 note. At the base and right under that window, at the base of the note, there's a solid geometric pattern on a dark green square at the bottom of the note. And in it, you will be able to see a small numeral 5. That's a sort of a hide and reveal feature. Far away from the note, it looks just simply like a solid bar. When you hold the note up to the light and in closer inspection, you'll see a a white 5 appearing on the note. Now, we check the note using either magnifying glass or ultraviolet light. With the use of the magnifying glass, you'll be able to see the microtext in the note. We have a lot of areas in the note, and what seems to be just the pattern of the note, the swirling pattern, you will be able to detect the use of fine print using a magnifying glass. You'll see the words either Trinidad and Tobago 5, the word FIVE spelled out, or the numeral 5 represented throughout the note in the design work. Now, always remember that the design work and the microtext is consistent with the face value of the note itself. So where you see a 5, it's a $5 note you're dealing with, you should see the word 5 or the numeral 5 represented throughout the note. The other feature that we can use ultraviolet light to detect would be those areas of distinct reactive ink on the sides of the note, and you will see them coming up in 2 distinct colors under an ultraviolet light. So this is one of the more strong features, security features in our notes. You'll see definitely it stands out from our cotton notes, which probably had 1 reactive color in terms of ultraviolet features. Now you have 2 distinct colors, an improved and strengthened security feature for our polymer notes. In addition to that, you'll see a medallion with the 5 distinctly showing up under ultraviolet light. So now let's go through some of the similarities and differences in general. So we saw that the images were consistent. You have the bird, the Mortimer, the market scene at the back, the coat of arms, etc. The microtext is used both in polymer and in the cotton notes, but you see a lot of prevalence of microtext in the design work on the polymer notes. The UV features existed on both cotton notes and on the polymer notes, but you find them a lot stronger and a lot more distinct on the polymer notes. The intaglio print, which is that raised ink print that I was mentioning, the one with that you can feel the coat of arms and the numeral and the text at the top and the bottom of the note. We use those as well. We use intaglio inks as well in the printing of our cotton notes, but it's an easier and the more distinct feel on the polymer substrate. The tactile feature as well is much more improved on the polymer note. Previously, our cotton notes, if you remember, the bars on the side of the note were the tactile bars, but in circulation, those bars tended to wear on the cotton notes. In the polymer notes, it is more distinct and they will stand up to circulation a lot better so that they will continue to be accessible to the visually impaired community. Now let's look at the difference a little closer. Of course, the polymer is plastic, so there's a smoother feel to polymer notes than paper. The hidden numeral feature at the base of the note in that block that I mentioned, the hide and reveal feature, that's there with our new polymer notes. The clear window to the top of the note, that was definitely not in our cotton notes. And there's a printed security thread in our polymer notes as opposed to the interwoven security thread that you would have seen in the cotton. Okay, so let's take a look at our tents. Again, we have certain images consistent. You would see the Cocirculating bird on both the cotton and polymer notes, the coat of arms. On the reverse of the note, you see the Central Bank Tower and the Ministry of Finance towers, and the port scene, traditional port scene on the cotton dollar notes. Now, again, at the top of the note, you'll be seeing that national flag. So we start using that methodology that I spoke about. We feel the notes. Now, when we feel the note, again, to the top of the note, you feel the raised ink features, and to the base of the note, the coat of arms and the numeral 10 on the note, you feel the raised ink. The back of the note, completely smooth, save and except for the tactile feature in the shape of a C this time on the $10, which would provide improved access for visually impaired persons. So we move on to looking at the note. When we look at the note, what do we see? When we look at the note, again, that clear window with the numeral 10 this time in it, very clearly seen there on the screen as well as on the slide. And that hide and reveal feature in the block with the numeral 10 in it at the base of the note. Again, we use microtext extensively in the print of the polymer notes, in that what appears to be just geometric and nice swirly patterns on the note, you will see a use of a lot of microtext in there, consistent again with the denomination of the note. So you'll see the word 10 printed in several areas on the polymer notes, as well as the numeral 5 represented across the note. On the ultraviolet light, you'll see the two distinct patterns, again, two distinct color inks showing up on the sides of the note, as well as the medallion 10 to the base of the note, with the 10 in it to the base of it. So let's go through some of the similarities and differences. Again, we kept the images consistent for you. We have the bird, port scene. We utilize microtext extensively in both the cotton and polymer notes, but a little more extensively in the polymer. We have UV features, which are more advanced in the polymer notes, as we mentioned. The intaglio print, which is that raised ink print on the face of the note with the coat of arms and the large numeral and the head and the base of the note. The tactile feature, when you turn the note over, the raised dots that stand out at the back of the note in the shape of a C this time with the $10 note. So let's look again at the differences. Of course, polymer is plastic-based, so it feels smoother than cotton. The 10 in the hidden hide and reveal feature at the bottom and the block of the note, in the solid block at the bottom of the note, we're able to implement that with the polymer notes. The clear window with the numeral inside of it, and that printed security thread as opposed to the interwoven security thread on the cotton. So let's take a look at the 20. Now, this is the prettiest note, in my opinion, in our suite. We see the traditional images held, the hummingbird, the coat of arms, at the reverse of the note, the Central Bank and Ministry of Finance towers, and the steel pan. So let's take a look at let's feel the note, rather. When you feel the note, again, you feel those raised areas of print to the top and the base of the note, the coat of arms, and the large numeral on the side. When you turn the note over, the reverse of the note is completely smooth to the touch, save and except that little raised dot feature, which for the 20 is in the shape of a triangle at the base of the note. When you look at the note, what do you see? You see a little window to the top of the note. This time the 20 in the window is in white. It is not solid color. And you also see the hide and reveal feature, that $20 appearing in the solid block at the base of the note. Now, the 20 has something special in it. It has a tilt feature. So you see that lovely hummingbird that we looked at before? That is also in a separate window, another window, and the bird shimmers as you tilt the note from back to front in front of you. There's also the number 20 that appears close to the beak of the bird in the note that disappears and reappears as you tilt the note. And the note shimmers very prettily. That pattern shimmers very prettily, consistent with the shimmering window that is on the $100 note. Again, we can utilize some simple tools like a magnifying glass to detect the microtext in the printed pattern on the note, and the use of ultraviolet lights to be able to see those reactive inks showing up in the two distinct color patterns, and the $20 medallion will show up under ultraviolet lights as well. So we look at some of the general similarities again and differences in your notes. Again, we have the images consistent with our cotton notes. So you see the hummingbird, the steel pans. We utilize the microtext both in the polymer and cotton substrates. Again, the presence of ultraviolet reactive inks. So you can see them under the ultraviolet lights. And again, this is more pronounced in the polymer notes than in the cotton notes. the intaglio print, which is that raised ink on the face of the note, so you can feel the large numeral and the coat of arms. And the tactile features are on both cotton and polymer, but they're much stronger in the polymer notes. And that the raised dots this time on the 20 are in the shape of a triangle at the base of the. Now let's get together. Let's look at some of the differences. So the polymer note is smoother. It has a smooth feel to it. Again, the hidden numeral in the base of the note in that solid block. The clear window to the top of the note with the $20 denomination showing in it. The printed security thread, and one additional thing with the $20 note, that second window with the hummingbird in shimmering ink. Okay, so from November, the central bank will be issuing these notes and place them into circulation. The new polymer notes will co-circulate with the existing paper-based notes. So what does that mean? What that means is that both polymer and cotton continue to be legal tender, and this will be so at least until the end of 2021. At that time, a decision will be made with respect to the demonetization of the cotton notes, and the public will be advised when these notes are going to be demonetized. So again, I repeat, these notes will continue to co-circulate until at least the end of 2021, when a decision will be made. Now, the central bank will provide Know Your Money sessions going through with the introduction of the other notes, and we will continue to host information on our website for the public in terms of the features of the notes. You can also feel free to contact the central bank via email at info@central-bank.org.tt or on our Facebook page to get more details on the notes that you may want to find out about. So right now, I'll just give you a sneak peek at all excited by that presentation. And now I'll hand you over to Selena Neptune, who will moderate the rest of the session.
Thank you. I'm sure you enjoyed that very detailed and informative presentation that Sharon just presented. Now, if you have any questions, we'll take this opportunity to get them addressed directly by the Manager of Banking Operations. You can pose your questions in one of two ways. Either use the raise hand icon, or you can type your questions and we will address. So we await your questions. Okay, I see we have one from Facebook. Question: will the central bank be withdrawing cotton notes from circulation and be replacing them with polymer between now and 2021?
Now, remember, we said that these notes will co-circulate. So central bank will be putting into circulation the polymer notes. And when the notes are at the end of their life cycle, as we commonly do, we will be removing them from circulation. So notes not in circulation currently will continue to circulate until the time as they come back to the central bank through the commercial banks. So there's no active or overt action on behalf of the central bank to withdraw these notes from department from circulation. It will be a natural and normal process as the commercial banks redeem these notes to us during our normal process of operations. They will be processed. As the governor indicated, opening announcement of launching the notes earlier this week, the polymer costs roughly about 50% more than cotton to print, but don't forget it lasts approximately 2.5 times longer.
We have another one here. Has the $50 note been updated too?
Yes, the design of the $50 note is now consistent with the entire polymer suite, and that will be introduced sometime early in January or late in January next year.
Okay. Will the polymer $50 note that is currently in circulation be considered for demonetization?
As we indicated before, no note that is currently in circulation is going to be demonetized. No decision is going to be made at the end of 2021. At that time, the central bank will evaluate and let the public know when the notes are going to be demonetized and which notes will be demonetized.
Okay. Another one. Is it understood that a polymer note, if torn or cut, say by a scissors, would CBTT replace such note?
Consistent with our policy, the central bank replaces notes for the members of the public that are damaged once we can recognize up to 50% of the note.
There's another one here. Can you use Scotch tape and would it be accepted at the counter?
It all depends on which counter. If you put Scotch tape in the note and you are at the central bank counter, we will exchange it for you. But damaged notes are generally done. They're not to be utilized routinely. Any damaged note, whether it was cotton or polymer, you should try to exchange it at the central bank as fast as possible.
Another question, should I come to the central bank to change my notes?
You don't have to central bank to change your notes. Our counters are open, yes. But of course, in due course, during the month of November, the commercial banks will be in possession of the notes, and these notes can be exchanged. But don't forget, you have until the end of 2021 to start worrying about demonetization and exchanging of notes. What's happening right now, notes will coexist and they will continue to be legal tender. So your cotton notes are valid currency until a decision is made at the end of 2020.
Remember, folks, we're answering questions on the $5, $10, and $20 notes at this session. Okay, another question. Are the raised features raised on the front or reverse of the note?
Depends on what feature we're talking about. Now, don't forget, those intaglio inks are used on the front of the note. As you feel the coat of arms, you feel it raised and the large numeral is raised. The top, we have some the raised thing there and at the base of the note. Now, the reverse of the note is extremely smooth, save and except for those raised dots in the lower corner, which are the tactile feature for improved access for the visually impaired.
Okay, we have another one here. How can we prevent sticking of money together? Sometimes new hundreds stick.
Well, don't forget, this note is plastic based, so there may be some tendency in heat for the notes to cling. So you try to keep the notes out of heat as far as possible. You don't subject them to increased temperatures because it is plastic, and in an oven, it may stick together if you're storing it there, or you'd be surprised to know where people store their funds. So just take care of your notes, and your notes will take care of you. Well, that depends on the type of machine that is being used. There are counters that will just count the physical presence of an item. And there are also smart counters, that's just like a smart TV, that are programmed to read the actual features of the notes. So if you have a smart counter, you will need to get some programming done to be able to read your notes. If you have a counter that's not smart, that's just counting the physical items, then there would be no need for programming as such.
Okay, we have another one here. Did you consider the numbers in Braille for visually impaired?
The item that we have utilized for the visually impaired access is those raised dots at the corner of the note. Now we have to remember that maybe not all visually impaired persons, and this is something common to most of our Caribbean territories, not all visually impaired persons may be able to read Braille. Some of them may, some of them won't, but these are tactile features that are independent of that are in the form of a shape and easier to recognize.
Someone is also asking, will this be recorded to view at another time?
Yeah, I'll have to leave that one for you to answer.
Okay, we do have a presentation that was done at our briefing, which was on October the 27th, which was also quite informative, and that one has been loaded on our website and is available for viewing also on Facebook and YouTube as well. So you can check those out. Additionally, the presentation is also on our website. So you can download it from there and view it at your leisure. Do we have any other questions at this time? Especially on the $5, $10, and $20 polymer notes to be introduced? Okay, we have one other question here. Mutilated notes, say damaged by fire, seem to curl or even reduce in size. How does the central bank deal with reimbursement of these notes?
Well, we have the assistance, luckily, of the forensic department in the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service. So they assist us in being able to identify those notes, which we find difficult to identify in terms of the percentage of the note that is present. So once we get the support and the validation from that entity, we are able to honor a claim from a member of the public for damaged notes.
Are there any other questions that are specific to the $5, $10, $20 polymer notes at this time? Because we invite you to address these, if they're not to be raised right now, these and any other issues through our info email account. The address for that account is info@central-bank.org.tt. And you will get a response to your any queries posed through that medium. Okay, if we have no other questions pertinent to these 3 specific notes, I'd like to say thank you for viewing this morning. Thank you for contributing, those persons who sent in questions. And okay, I'm seeing one other question, so let's deal with that. When the new notes are will the old notes that are being deposited to the bank be destroyed, or will the bank still be giving it out?
The copies continue to be legal tender. So we'll treat them as such. As long as the notes meet the fitness quality for circulation, the commercial banks will continue to utilize the cotton notes as well as the polymer notes that are in circulation.
Well, it seems as if we have no more questions at this time. Remember, as indicated earlier, any other issues that you may have that you need responses to, you can drop us an email at info@central-bank.org.tt. You will certainly receive a response. We would like to thank you for joining us today and enjoy the rest of your day.